Hey everybody, it's Callie, and today I want to talk about the double-edged sword that OCD is when it comes to our goals and our personal growth. First of all, let's talk a little bit about some of the tangible facts about OCD. First of all, we know already that OCD is a huge time suck. So what I mean by this is you can spend a lot of time obsessing and compulsing, or worrying that you're going to be obsessing and compulsing, or worrying about triggers, avoiding triggers, worrying about the future and or the past, and a lot of things that you just really have no control over. And I think it's important to kind of point out that there's a lot of overlap there with what our symptoms might be doing, right? It might look like maybe procrastination because we don't want to start something, a new task, or the next step in whatever goal we're trying to achieve because it's really scary and it's overwhelming. Maybe it looks like perfectionism, not only in what we're doing and rigidity there, but also in how other people are doing it, and maybe the perception of it not being done the right way, whatever that might be. Maybe it might look like time lost or progress lost because we're going back and repeating things because they just don't feel right, or something just feels off and we want to keep redoing it again until it feels right. So those are all ways that we're kind of sabotaging any progress that we might have made. And all of these things put together are not only going to affect the completion of that goal, but they're also going to affect the mind frame that we have, the framework that we're viewing that task or that goal. We might develop this negative connotation because we have such strong negative feelings and we've made this project into this beast that it didn't really have to be, or this goal that should be really exciting and that we're, excited to chip away at and work towards has suddenly become something that just feels too big and too overwhelming and just you can't do it. And that's not even to mention anybody whose obsessions might actually be achievement of their goals, like worrying that they'll never achieve their goals, that they'll never do anything. We're not even talking about that. That is something that would then bring a whole new group of anxieties and pressures and just negative feelings into that mix. In my experience, I have struggled with perfectionism kind of in a big way, especially when I was still in school. But I think at that time, I wasn't yet thinking about it within the framework of OCD, because at that point I hadn't been diagnosed, but I also wasn't really aware, I guess, of all the ways that my OCD was really getting to me. But I was so critical of myself, and I was so hung up on just the wrong details, and I was really rigid. And that extended not just, it went beyond me. It went to what other people were doing. If I thought they were doing it the wrong way, whatever arbitrary thing was right or wrong, which was really unfair and really uncool of me. And I realize that now. But it affected how I looked at people, and I would automatically compare things that are not really quantifiable. Like I would compare like ambition, and I would spend a lot of time thinking about how those things compared and how my ambition or maybe my creativity or whatever thing, compared to other people's. I think about that now, and that's like a really strange thing to be hung up on, right? And to use as a marker for whether I'm doing something right or wrong, or whether somebody else is doing something right or wrong. And that it was like my way, well, my OCD's way or the highway, right? And it was very black and white in what could be right and could be wrong, but still those things were kind of arbitrary, if that makes sense. It's like I was setting up goalposts for myself and others, and that wasn't fair because, one, nobody knew about that. Like, no, those people didn't know that they were under my scrutiny, or I don't know why I was so unfair to myself too, and so critical and having myself under that scrutiny. And then two, it's like, again, those goalposts were arbitrary and they were a moving target. So there was really no way to win. Even if I was doing things right, I'd focus on something else that was wrong. So while on the one hand, I got a lot of positive feedback in the things that I was doing. The projects that I was working on were successful. On that flip side, I was miserable and I was agonizing over, doing things right and being successful and achieving whatever goal I wanted, even if that wasn't the larger goal, even if that goal again was kind of random and didn't really make sense and was arbitrary. And I would just get so hung up on everything and a lot of times focus on the wrong things. And this is all to say that, it's really great to have goals and it's great to have standards and the things you do, but at some point when you're so goal-oriented or so resolution-oriented to the point that it's affecting how you go about what you're doing, how you feel about what you're doing, maybe how you feel about what other people are doing. If you're getting to that point that it's just a constant battle, it might be time to start looking into what you can do to start to manage these symptoms as they relate to your OCD. So much like other issues with OCD, maybe, fears of, again, whatever that arbitrary doing something wrong is, fears of that or other fears that you have that are related to tasks or goals or whatever that may be, that's something that can be worked on through exposure and response prevention, or ERP. ERP can kind of help you reframe the way that you're looking at the situation and can help you learn to manage your feelings and your anxiety when it comes up, when it starts to present itself as you're going about your daily life, whether it's, again, related to a task or not, whatever your symptoms may be. And I think that's the key. It's not that you want the thoughts to go away. Of course you want them to go away, but that's not the goal. The goal is that the thoughts come and you can't control that, and you can only really control how you're reacting. So if the thought comes in and you acknowledge it and say, okay, I accept that, or I'm going to challenge that, over time, what happens when you're doing ERP is you feel that spike in anxiety, right? You're just, all your senses, everything goes right through the roof. All your anxiety, all your fear, whatever. And then slowly as things start to kind of level out, you say, wait a minute, nothing bad happened. I didn't die. I feel like I can continue on with my day. I feel like I can manage this. And that's something that is the goal. That's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to just live and feel some kind of harmony. And that is what ERP helps you do. And so again, you start to realize that there's really nothing to be afraid of and that you can manage how you're feeling, because even though you can't control the thoughts, you can control your reactions. If ERP is something that you're ready to give a try, I just want to say that NOCD has really made huge strides in making ERP and treatment for OCD accessible. You can go to NOCD.com or treatmyocd.com today, and you can talk to a therapist that specializes in treatments for OCD. They're there to help you understand what you're going through and to offer you support, and I think most importantly, walk you through how you can help yourself. And on that note, I'm going to get going, and I will see you guys next time.